Hello everybody and welcome back to our D2CL action here today. I'm Durka in the Joint Dota Studios. We have Newbee going up against LGD. Now, in game number 1, Newbee had the lead for a good half an hour. All of a sudden, LGD brought it back and took the win right under their noses. Let's see if Newbee can bring it back in game number 2. Head over to the draft, see what we're dealing with, and welcome in my co-commentator. Scant, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, and again, we're going to see the Troll versus Shadow Fiend, Troll for Newbee and a Shadow Fiend for LGD. I'm super excited to see the Witch Doctor picked up on LGD, because you know what that means. It means MMY is Witch Doctor, he's buying a Hand of Midas, and he's going to get an Aghanims and a Shadow Blade and a BKB, and this is something we've seen recently on Witch Doctors in China, and it's something that MMY himself started, so probably the experts at it, and it's really fun to watch Witch Doctors end up scaling in that way. So yeah, I hope the game goes that way. I hope LGD don't get too destroyed to see the Midas pick up on the Witch Doctor being successful.
Yeah, we saw an MMY, then Chuan was like, hey look, that build's pretty good, I'm gonna try it myself. And like the very next day, there was Chuan playing Witch Doctor with Midas himself. Newbee go back for the Troll here. Didn't really work out that well for them in game number 1. I mean, overall. The hero worked out well. In laning phase, it was great. Rabbit went 4-0-6 and did well himself. But they never finished the game. They never got up onto high ground and broke tier 3s. Even with that Blink Dagger, they couldn't really close the gap.
Yeah, but Troll a hero that's... I mean, it seems not going to be like we lost with a hero. We think it's totally overpowered, but we just won't pick it because we lost with it. And I think a lot of teams do think that about Troll. They think it's like the most broken hero in Dota right now, and I guess that's good enough reason, if any, to pick a hero despite losing with it in the previous game. I think that the previous game is indicative. It's a symptom of the current patch, right? That a team can get really far ahead and then get outplayed for maybe 1 or 2 fights and suddenly be quite far behind. And I guess there's arguments for and against that. Some people don't like it. Some people like the idea that in a strategy game, when you get into an advantageous position, that should actually benefit you a lot. That, you know, because you're outplaying them earlier, now it should be easier for you to win. But I kind of like the idea that right now in Dota, you have to outplay your opponent all game long. You have to keep out. If at any point you stop outplaying them, they are going to catch up and even overtake you. And I mean, I do think that the team that's ahead does have some advantage, right? They generally have better gold, better items, better levels. So I kind of like the current state of Dota, where as soon as there's 1 or 2 fights where a team gets outplayed, even if they're ahead, they stop being ahead.
Yeah, it's a little bit more up and down now, isn't it? I'm not sure quite how I feel about it yet. I haven't made a decision. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. Obviously, when you're in a pub game and you're behind, you win a couple of team fights, you love it. When you've been outplaying them for 20 minutes and you accidentally feed a couple of kills, that's when you hate it. In competitive though, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure if it really works. I know a lot of professional players have been sort of I don't want to say whining. It's not really whining, but criticizing. They've been criticizing the way that the game works. The fact that you can draft yourself into a position where you can win early game, you can win for half an hour, and then because the opponent has one hero, like let's say they have a Tinker, so you can't break high ground, you can't finish the game, and then 1 fight later, 2 fights later, the enemy is in your base doing the same thing to you, but because of the way things work and they're getting these luxury items at that period in the game, you can't really turn things back around.
Yeah,
It's kind of a one-way street thing, and then it turns into a two-way street, but then it doesn't actually flip back the other way a lot of the time.
well, the argument that I definitely do buy is that the way that the comeback mechanic works, it's disproportionate in the sense that I like that a team needs to outplay their opponent all game long. I don't want to see a game where you win the early game and then just you automatically win. And that's what we saw at TI4 with the Deathball meta. We kind of saw that at TI3 as well with the Alliance metagame of just stacking and farming, getting that incremental lead. So I like not having that situation. But the situation now seems to be that you can outplay your opponent for half an hour, and then they outplay you for 2 minutes, and then they can beat you.
Yeah.
And so it's not exactly proportional. I want a Dota that requires teams to outplay their opponents more than they got outplayed, kind of thing. Instead of rewarding just the early game or rewarding just the mid game or just the these 3 key fights.
We'll see.
But obviously the game being tweaked all the time and trying to find its final best form, it's gonna take maybe forever.
Well, exactly. It's constantly in development, technically, but we'll see. There's usually, you know, a decentish sized patch before TI. We're getting closer and closer, you know. A couple of months before TI, usually there's a decent sized patch, so we'll see. Maybe next month, maybe the month after. But Spectre picked up by LGD, now that's a solid hero. Along with the Sand King, Witch Doctor, and Clockwork, they've got lots of early game power. The 4-man Death Squad here, along with the Shadow Fiend. You know, they can farm up early, they can go and get kills, but Newbee, once they hit their levels, they're pretty good at defending towers.
The thing I think about this draft is that LGD just clearly have really good initiation. If Sand King goes on someone or Clock goes on someone and Spec haunts in, that's gonna be terrifying. Whereas Newbee at the moment, their avenue for initiation is Void. That's it. It's you keep track of that one hero, and you know when they're gonna start a fight, if they're gonna start a fight, who they're gonna start a fight on. And Lina, that last pick. So is this a
Mid Lina?
This is a Mu Lina?
Yeah.
Which I feel like we haven't seen this much in China. I feel like we've been seeing support Linas in China, even though the mid Lina is very, very popular in the CIS and Western scene.
Yeah, I've been feeling the same. You know, we've been seeing quite a bit of Rubik Lina roaming around killing people with the stacking of stuns, but in this game, Newbee, they've got Vengeful Spirits and AA, who are a decent roaming support duo. Moving on to mid lane, Mu can potentially just kill maybe over and over again. Fair enough, his Radiant side. I'm interested to see whether Newbee go for the sneaky move into the jungle to ward up those jungle camps. Because if you stop the Shadow Fiend from farming the 2 camps, the medium and large, just off the lane, and then you kill him over and over again, what is his comeback mechanism?
I mean, what does that tell you about the patch at the moment, though? The way teams prefer Radiant, that you're considering blocking camps so that their solo mid hero can't farm them while he's laning.
Yeah.
You know, like conventionally people would block camps so that someone can't jungle.
Enigma
or so you can't stack the jungle, but not so that the mid laner who's in mid lane can't farm them.
It's a little bit nuts, isn't it? Newbee will be heading into the Radiant jungle just to try and scout things out. Xiaowei is ready with boots, though. Not leveled anything up just yet. The jump forward from June. Signal of intent. Saying, hello, Xiaowei, I'm ready for you. But now they know. I guess he's more likely than not going to go Time Walk at level 1 anyway. But that's an expenditure of mana. That's a few hits in on Xiaowei. He doesn't really care.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at MMY with his bird face, waiting for that hand of Midas.
Look at what they've done! Look at what they've done. It has begun. Shadow Fiend no longer has access to his camp, but MMY comes along with that sentry, takes out the Observer Ward. But you just got to think, if that sentry was placed just a little bit further across to the left, they would have unblocked the camp as well.
Yeah, and I think that there was just no suspicion from the side of LGD there that there'd be an extra ward there blocking off the camp. But that there is, and it is going to limit the Shadow Fiend a bit. But I feel like this is a lane that Shadow Fiend can get reasonable value out of, even if he's not farming his jungle. And there will be other camps that they can stack for him to farm.
Yeah, it's not just that camp. That's what I was thinking if you go for the double block and take out the large camp as well, because that's where a large chunk of your XP and gold comes from. But if they're thinking that there's also Xiaowei in the jungle, Sand King needs to stack up and farm as well. Blocking out one of the camps will definitely limit their farm massively. Maybe going for one of the razors onto Mu, and the Lina taking the worst trade in that.
Yeah, did you see Radofter maybe got the bounty and he actually he created himself a self right away. And I think that's really clever because it's going to allow him to trade up a bit in this lane. And otherwise he can get very bullied by Lina if he doesn't have that chance to trade her ass early on, get some creeps early on. If need be, you know, use the self to get your HP up. Especially because the Lina herself has a self too.
Yeah, we see it quite a lot from Ferrari maybe on heroes like Shadow Fiend, Sniper, Storm. They're not afraid, even if they go, you know, Null Wraithband first, just to bring themselves a little bit more regen. Delay the bottle, but you secure yourself the lane and maybe a little more aggression. Aggressive tri-lane down on this bot lane from Newbee is something that we've not really touched on. Banana on the Vengeful Spirit, Rabbit playing the Troll, and Sansheng on the AA against Sylar on the Spectre, who's sitting here all on his own. Up at top, Yao on the Clockwork against June's Faceless Void. Mid, maybe, and Mu battling out, of course, we've seen that. Xiaowei's ready on the cliff. Are they looking for a fight?
Xiaowei's gone all the way around for this kill, and he definitely wasn't spotted. The only observer ward that Newbee actually have is on their mid ramp right now.
And then Banana smokes up. He's going for the wraparound as well. He basically walks into Xiaowei. One of those situations.
It's an even trade, right?
Yeah. One support going for the wraparound kill, walking into the opponent's support. 1-on-1. It'd been kind of funny if, they both threw stuns at each other. Everyone denying the rune of bot lane. Banana kind of wanted that.
How do you see this 1v1 Clockwork versus Void lane going? I see that DL's actually maxing his battery assault early on. So, full intention to try and bully the Void if he gets an opportunity. I think Yao yesterday when he played Clockwork against IG, I think you were casting that game with Slash, but I feel like he had a pretty weak game on Clockwork yesterday. He missed a lot more hooks than you normally see Clockworks missing.
Yeah. We see it's a really oddly hit and miss hero. Not just with hook shots. Oh. Xiaohead apparently went back in for the kill.
Well, it wasn't maybe, and LGD will be happy about that, right? If he dies, it's a lot bigger than if the Sand King dies.
Maybe going back in for the raises possibly here. Banana's ready with Magic Missile. Trigger. No? Banana not going to get in range to throw it out. With Moo with level 2 Dragon Slave, they could potentially just nuke down maybe here. And back up to the top lane with June picking up a Quelling Blade. I wonder if he goes for Orb of Venom. Because with that Orb of Venom, you can put a lot of harass down onto the Clockwork, slow his aggression, and stop him from going for the plays.
Yeah, and it's tricky for Clockwork anyway, because if he ever uses his battery assault, you time walk away, and that's, again, it's like a pretty decent trade, but now battery assault's on cooldown, you can fight him as the Void. The Void's actually stronger when there's no battery assault. Meantime, Banana actually heads up to this top lane. I wonder if Newbee's gonna be the ones to make the first move here.
Well, the cogs trap in June, Banana can't get in there. June's still going for this though with the time walk, then the bash, the creep wave is doing a fair amount of damage, but June backs himself up, doesn't want to overcommit.
Look at Giant. He's back to the same position. He's still level 1 on the Sand King, got those boots first, and he's just so adamant that he's going to get value out of those boots first. He's going to get one kill.
Well, he's walking back in, Moo. They just can't do it. It's not possible. I guess with that move, they secure themselves a top rune spot, but now Magic Missile is still going to land. You can't disjoint it with a Bow Strike. One more right click, finishes off Xiao 8. Maybe. Triple raise. Banana probably going to die here. One more from maybe. Oh, Banana. Walking back into short range, but Moo can't land the Light Strike array.
The weirdest thing here is, I don't want to say it's... Giant really wants to kill Moo. He keeps trying. It almost feels like it's personal at this point. It's like, there's no opportunity to kill him, but Giant's like, I'm TPing back mid, I'm pinging that guy, we're going to go for him. But what I want to say is, I don't think it's Giant's intention at all to get SF value in that way by going in and dying, but he is. The SF's actually doing pretty well on the basis of what the Sand King's doing, even though he's not been able to make a kill. He's died twice. Shadow Fiend got a lot of XP, got an extra kill in his lane, and it's not actually that terrible overall for LGD because the Sand King himself is going to be able to recover. Just wonder who's going to be farming that stack, because the Sand King's made a big stack. It's probably just for the SF though, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Xiao needs some gold. They're going to find Sunshine here. It started for the Bow Strike. Yeah, they just about get it. Now Cask is not going to come out. Rabbit turns back around and will take down MMI before they can really do anything here. Sunshine with Malty John will get taken out. But now the turnaround. Xiao has Bow Strike. We'll have to try and get through the trees. Okay, Sandstorm is the safer option, but good hook shot. Yao comes back in. They'll find another kill here onto Banana. Battery Assault finally thrown out to take down the Vengeful Spirit. Rabbit. Oh, Rabbit.
Can he get... No, he can't get enough raises there.
Rabbit running around the long way. Does he stay mid now? Does he run back down towards the bot lane? Maybe misses, dodges the Light Strike array and doesn't die to Laguna Blade Dragon Slave. Moo, overestimating how much damage he can do. The double raises come out to Banana and Rabbit, dishing out the damage as the cast bounces between them. And Silas haunts in, will take down the Vengeful Spirit, and maybe Rabbit here, level 2 Desolate, does a ton of damage.
I was wondering, I was looking over at Moo, and he had Maledict on him, and he was really low and out of mana, and I thought Spectre's gonna reality there. But I guess, yeah, going for the other option, making a kill, making nearly 1.5 kills.
He wasn't too far away from Rabbit. If the troll hadn't popped that salve, I think Silo would have just continued chasing. Get the right clicks in, finish him off. They've both got face boots. In fact, who comes out? I guess Troll has the higher movement speed there.
Yeah, so Faceless Void's definitely got the better of the trade in that 1v1 lane against Clockwork in this game. He's got the most creeps in the map at the moment. And Clockwork's got, you know, what, half of what he's got. Spectre's got even less than that. Silas really struggled in this lane, which was, I think, it was an aggressive dual lane with the troll and the AA, and we didn't talk about it a lot, but that's a lane that you're gonna struggle in as a Spectre, and a big part of that struggling is that the Sand King wasn't there. If the Sand King had helped in that lane, the Spectre would be doing a lot better right now. So I think a conscious decision by Xiao that he's gonna prioritize the Shadow Fiend early on, and will allow Spectre to catch up. The Shadow Fiend actually with his first 1 or 2 item pickups can make that space for Spectre himself.
Yeah, June has got a hell of a lot on this top lane. Been left alone to free farm for quite some time. Mask of Madness on the cards. 44 last hits. He's probably actually leader of net worth. No, still behind the Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend with that Midas pickup actually. Okay, yeah, that's why. Shadow Fiend did go and clear out that large camp stacked. Stun now. Xiao 8 caught out. The Laguna Blade. Again, you can't dodge this stuff. He tries to Burrow Strike away to maybe give himself some more time as Rabbit's caught in the cogs. The Chilling Touch will allow him to turn it around and do some damage back to Yao. Cask, Maledict, but no more damage. Oh, that's a good chrono. June catches both of them as Silo's going to fall to the magic damage of Move.
Yeah, and this game 2 is starting really well for Newbee, but remember game 1 started really well for Newbee as well, and there was a point at which the game just very abruptly turned around. 1 or 2 fights going in LGD's favor, and within the next 10 minutes LGD won the game, so I'm a bit nervous to say anything about how well Newbee are doing at this point, as if it's, you know, like necessarily significant for the long run, but they are definitely doing well. And you know what, a few days ago, a week ago, when Newbee started this season off, playing this month, they weren't even winning the early games in a lot of their games, so as we've said, they are clearly practicing, they are clearly improving. Whether they're there yet, that's another question.
And they've still got a long road to go, but they're definitely doing well. Maybe with that Midas, I'm a little bit confused why he's gone for it. I guess it's because they want to push this to late game so the Spectre can be an impact. But I kind of felt like Clockwork, Shadow Fiend, and the 2 supports would go around as like a 4-man death squad, trying to find kills onto the rest of Newbee. But with the lead that Newbee has now, with Chrono into Ice Blast, the lead and magic damage coming out, lanes are going to be really, really scary. Pushing yourself out into the enemy tier 1 is almost going to be impossible for LGD.
Yeah, but if you look at the way that the previous game went, where Newbee had this kind of lead, and they also had a global ulti on Silencer and a Ravage, and they didn't manage to close out the game, despite getting Roshan for free once or twice, I think, as well. At least once. I think LGD are pretty comfortable to say, well, you're ahead of us, but we're going to get a lot of space to farm, and we've invested so much in our Shadow Fiend already, like, we got to make sure he gives us a return. I think that's what the Midas is about. He's just going to get massive in this game. And sure, he will start making space for them, I think, once he's got, like, his actual core first or second item. But unless they're Faults under massive pressure to start making some moves, I don't see why he can't buy the Midas. And it doesn't seem like they do feel under that kind of pressure.
Yeah. Xiao 8 finally gets a chance to farm up in the jungle, get himself some gold, because he's now sitting at level 6 and he doesn't go for the epicenter. He knows it's very unlikely he'll actually get to use it. Level 3 Burrow Strike, level 3 Sandstorm allows him, you know, the extra range on Burrow.
Look at bot lane. Here comes the Ice Blast. Is it gonna hit?
No.
Nope.
Sylar hiding in the trees. Up at top, Yao's preparing himself for that hookshot in. But Newbee backed themselves up.
Yeah, because it's probably a kill on Sylar, right? If the Ice Blast hits with the Void with Mask of Madness and Chrono. So I guess intelligence enough of Sylar to dodge it, but now it's Mu hitting the bot lane.
Oh, they've got the Chrono to Sylar. Spectre, how long can you survive? Not very long when the Laguna Blade's thrown into your face. The 3-man smoke here from LGD going to try and counteract this. Find a kill up on this top lane. But the kill that they find is never going to be worth as much as that Sylar is to them.
There's no Laguna or Chrono, so LGD know there's no reaction. They might get 2 kills in a tower even.
Yeah, possibly here. Sanche gets raised once, maybe continues running. He doesn't want to get caught in the cold feet, but he ran the wrong way. Sanche now drawing the heroes away from the tower and away from Rabbit.
Yeah, and Rabbit has to TP out, go to that bot lane, try and get a trade, because he realizes if he stays at this tower, he's going to die along with the tower. Yeah, they know he was hiding there, so someone pings it out, but they've seen that he TP'd bot now. Gonna get the trade. And you say, yeah, the Spectre kill's important, keeping that Spectre down. But at the same time, if you can't control the Shadow Fiend, if the Shadow Fiend's going to get massive, and he really is getting massive right now, he's 1,500 gold ahead of the next highest farm person at the moment. If he gets to his next few items, I think he's not going to have trouble making that space for the Spectre to recover. So it's a bit of a catch-22, where there's two very important scaling cores that you need to keep down. And you're doing really well to keep the one down, but you're doing almost nothing to keep the other down.
Well, how do you do this? Sylar gets hit by the Ice Blast, and Banana along with Moo will come in and take him down with ease. And in comes Xiao 8 to try and find the counter kill. Tower hits will not be enough. The stick charges keep him alive, then the rocket flare flies across from Yao to finally kill the Venge off.
Yeah, the one thing to be said though about the Spectre dying a lot is that I think Sylar in particular as a player is not a player that likes to be in this position. I'm not too sure, and obviously this team will have a new dynamic because they've recently added maybe to the roster, but I think Sylar doesn't like being the core that gets nothing and recovers later. He'd prefer to be the one that's farming well early on.
Yeah, we've seen him in this position before, and here's like Lone Druid, Medusa, and he's always found a way to come back, but I don't know. Sylar always seems like that kind of carry player who wants to sit back and farm for 20 minutes and then go and make an impact. Oh man, Ice Blast. Oh no. Oh, they've got him again. The Chrono and Ice Blast onto Sylar. He buys himself a TP, but this is really rough for the Spectre.
Yeah, but beyond his personal preference, I do want to reiterate, sure, Newbee are ahead. They're quite significantly ahead, and all their Spectre kills do count. But there comes a point at which he's not the guy you need to kill. I mean, right now Sand King's close to Dagger. He's someone you'd want to kill. And SF has got Midas Blink and getting towards the third item now already. I think they want to be killing Shadow Fiend or Sand King right now. Those are the heroes that are most important to kill. Maybe come back to the Spectre in 5 minutes, kill him again.
Dust. Xiao 8's caught out here. Gets the magic missile down, but Banana turn around on. Sylar comes in with a haunt. He wants blood. We'll finish off Banana with a few more right clicks in with that Desolate attack, or maybe not, to swap back. Banana's in safety now. Sansheng is going to be the one that gives up his life, but finally a good hook shot in from Yao. They'll take down both supports and not give anything up in exchange.
And a bunch of urn charges going the way of Sylar, and yeah, a really, really good trade-off actually for LGD. And again, an example of Newbee maybe overstating the lead they have in the game. They try and make a kill with just their two supports. Especially on a Sand King, which is a hero that's just generally difficult to kill, right? I don't think A even had Ice Blast up at the start, or certainly didn't use it at the start. And Sylar only too happy to oblige, given that opportunity to come back into the game, given that opportunity to get some urn charges, get some farm, and look at MMY. I mean, his team's been doing really badly. He's died a few times, he's struggling, he's getting no value on the map. What, does he have any creeps? He's killed 8 creeps, the least out of everyone, but he's still going for that Midas.
1,500 now worth on this Witch Doctor right now. Actually, how are we looking at the supports over on the Dire? Urn and Brown Boots on Banana, AA with Tranquils. So they're both pretty poor themselves. You look at Xiao 8, he's got 3,000 gold to his name. He's not too far behind the Clockwork. But Newbee, their 3 cores, they're getting bigger and bigger.
I think this is actually where the support Midas is best. When you're running sort of a hard 5 support, and you're getting very, very small scraps of gold, but still manage to turn that into a Midas. I mean, you're just getting such value for your money because, you're not taking anything from the map for your team, but you're still generating a lot of money for yourself.
Yeah.
So if he manages to not just constantly feed, well done to him. You see him walking around with 606 HP, and you think, how does this guy not just die all the time?
It's MMY. He doesn't die.
Yeah, that's pretty much the answer. He's such a good player that his positioning is usually just so good that he can't just die. And where he does die, if he were to die, it's normally because his team's getting a good trade-off.
Sanjay is now done for the troll. Roshan has not been touched just yet, as Rowdy's on his top lane. He's going to feel the force here. Xiao 8 starts off with a Blink Dagger, but the swap back from Banana keeps Rabbit healthy. Xiao 8, I don't know, he sandstorms and tries to hide. Sylar is the one that they try and focus down though. Chrono and right clicks from June as in the back. Maybe he launches out the Requiem and finishes off Rabbit. June chased down. They're not going to find him just yet. They will now as Yao goes in there with the Battery Assault. Moo's light strike array completely whiffing. Maybe jumps back in. One raise and one right click as Moo has no TP.
Oh, they saw the blink.
He's got no TP, no way out. The 4 staffs on cooldown. And that's LGD winning that fight pretty handily.
This is how it looked last game when one of these fights, two of these fights, and all of a sudden it was LGD's game. They won in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I want to say we were just talking about MMY, and sure it's not a skill shot or anything, but I think he did a very big part in winning his team that fight. Right at the start with that paralyzing cask, which bounced between the, I think it was the Faceless Void and the Troll for a few seconds. Sure, yeah, it's not a skill shot, but he's standing in the right place so that he doesn't just get burst down immediately, and he gets the cask off in the perfect timing when there's just 2 heroes that it can bounce between.
Yeah, and Newbee, the Faceless Void went for the Spectre again. This is a hero that's down and out. He's got no items, very little in terms of team fight potential. Surely your Chrono is better aimed at, you know, the Sand King, the Shadow Fiend, anyone else.
Yeah, especially now that the Shadow Fiend is he's just so farmed. He's gonna actually be happy for Sylar to bait for him, because if you commit a bunch of if you commit the Chronosphere, imagine you commit the Chronosphere and the Laguna Bale, and the SF's not even there yet, then he can just blink into the fight and go crazy because nothing's gonna kill him.
Yeah, we're looking at level 14 SF right now. June jumped on. They've got the hook shot after Burst Strike. That's a big kill. Slowing down that Faceless Void who had Mask of Madness and is trying to build into Maelstrom. It could be a BKB, I guess, but whatever it is, his item progression has been halted now over the past 2 fights.
Oh man, I made so much fuss about MMY's new Midas build, and now he's rushing the Ags.
No.
I'm disappointed, MMY.
No. MMY,
You know
why
what?
did you do this?
I think he wanted to buy wards. He got to base with enough gold for Midas recipe, and he wanted to buy wards, and he was like, I'm just tired of walking around with 600 HP. Yes, I can position well, but there's only so much the positioning does against the heroes I'm against. You know, he can die to a Dragon Slave and an AA ulti or something absurd like that. So, yeah, just going straight for the Axe, which is the more conventional build for that 5-position Witch Doctor.
Maybe trying to push into this bot tier 1. He's got his BKB and Blink, so he's gonna be pretty comfortable just jumping into fights.
And Sylar's actually getting some gold now. You know, he's been focused down so much, but he's managed to find gold.
Yeah, he didn't get too much in the last fight because he died first, but the last fight was a good 2,500 XP and gold swing the way of LGD. Actually, have a look at the graph. Newbee again with about a 5,000 net worth lead, maybe a little more, less this game, 4,500, but it took them 15 minutes to gain that. And then over the space of 5 minutes again, Newbee lose that lead completely. LGD now breaking even and getting themselves a bit of a net worth lead. Experience, same thing. Little bit of a lead, completely swung around.
If we follow last game's pattern, in the next few minutes we're going to see LGD getting that 5,000 lead for themselves. And I think that maybe spotted out Rabbit. He's stalking him with this Invis rune, and together with Sylar they're going to kill Rabbit. There's no BKB here.
Requiem. Yep. Oh, no. Rabbit did a little juke and jive there.
Yeah, interesting, because I don't think he could have known there's an Invis Shadow Fiend there, but still managing to deal very well with the potential Requiem, which is the only way that they were going to actually kill him.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to plan whether he goes into the jungle or not, which route he takes. But a little bit scary that the Shadow Fiend with that Invis could have basically just insta-gibbed him.
Out of interest, qualification spots for the LAN for D2CL. We said that the top 4 is pretty much decided after that previous game, but does seeding matter? Does like first, is it any different to second or third or?
I don't know.
Because I know LGD and Vici Gaming and IG all got the same number of losses, I think. I think it's like 7-3, 9-3 and 11-3 or something like that before today started.
I'm not too sure. Sylar on the bot lane, they're looking for the swap, but Banana are not going to find it. Haunt. Just scouting, okay, not just scanning things out. Xiaowei jumps in with the epicenter. Banana's taken out. He has no mana left for anything else as Moo with a dagger needs to try and make his way out of here. Yulsept is ready. 4 staff on cooldown for another 10 seconds. There's no way. There's no way. The positioning of that death ward just too perfect from MMY. Maybe goes down here. Well, MMY might go down here to the Ice Blast, but in comes June with a chrono, allows Maybe to come in with the razors. Spectre dies, but Rabbit is now being chased down. Yao, Battery Salt, Cogs, they can't really catch up to him though.
And the pattern of this game is just following so neatly after the pattern of last game. It's almost as if it's scripted. Maybe with that good start and LGD turning it around at some point with 1 or 2 good fights, and you know, we're getting pretty close to the point where it seems like there's not a whole lot that Newbee can do, because you know, I spoke about how the Newbee's only way of starting a fight really is face this Void. Sure, Lina I guess could go for a pickle for the Yules, but to start an actual fight it's the Void Chronosphere. But in that fight, Void time walks in Chronos and Shadow Fiend blinks to him and raises him twice, and he just explodes. So if that's how if your Void can die that easily, and he's your only initiator, what do you do as Newbee at this point? So do you just go look for pickoffs? Do you try like get a successful smoke gank going? I mean, how do you like how would Newbee want to approach a team fight?
I don't know. The biggest chrono they've had so far was down in the bot lane when they caught Spectre +1. I can't remember who the +1 is, but you're right. At this point, the Shadow Fiend sees the chrono and thinks, okay, free fight for me. I'm gonna blink in and do all I can. Rabbit is caught here, and he's gonna get taken out by the Requiem.
Yeah, and that's who they haven't caught yet. They have not caught Maybe once this entire game. We spoke about it early on. We said that LGD were just prioritizing the Shadow Fiend and sort of throwing away the Spectre to a large extent, and he's 8-0. He's 1 kill away from that godlike, and he's been dominating this game very effectively. Clearly knows what to do, and he's the one with all the farm. And yeah, I wonder if Newbee are thinking maybe we should have kept that guy down a bit too at the start. I mean, they tried. They sent the Venge to rotate for those gangs, but Sand King was always there, and even though they killed the Sand King, it's the SF who was getting the value.
Showit directing all the hatred away from the Shadow Fiend and towards himself. I mean, you even mentioned it. The Shadow Fiend was getting value there, whether it was intentional or not, for Showit to throw his body into the mix to try and block those bullets from Newbee. He did the job.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very difficult for me to see Newbee's way of winning a fight right now. If they have a numbers advantage, maybe if they chrono 5 people, maybe. But the team fight lineup is much better from LGD. Their composition is just a lot stronger for a team fight. They're also more farmed. They've also got the Shadow Fiend who's just like so out of reach of anyone right now. I mean, they need to use everything on him. They need to chrono him and Laguna him, and Troll probably has to attack him with the AA ulti. I mean, he's really tanky for the stage in the game.
They actually do need to throw everything and the kitchen sink at him. Like get Troll outside with the Chilling Touch as well as the Faceless Void, but then you're dealing with Spectre who has Relic and nearly Radiance. 25 minutes in isn't an awful timing for Radiance, you know.
And a Witch Doctor ulti and a Clockwork and a Sand King epicenter.
I mean, forget about those guys.
Yeah, I think LGD could win a team fight without their Shadow Fiend, and they could win a team fight pretty much on the basis of their Shadow Fiend. Well, this Roshan could help Newbee, and I saw Sanshang pick up a gem to scout out wards, and they moved into pit right after. There's the rocket that scouts it, but it might be a bit too late.
Yeah, Yao did make the little movement to start his way towards the Roche pit, but there was no way they were getting in there and contesting. With Showit up on top lane, he couldn't really TP back and get to the pit in time. Sylar just wants to farm. For the next 2 minutes, he just wants to get a little bit of gold, get himself that Radiance.
I don't know if this is enough. So Troll's got Aegis and BKB, and Void's just picked up his BKB, so it could make a difference to the fight because all the spell damage is not going to work, and Yao caught out in mid lane.
It's going to be an easy kill on him. 3 ultimates, Battle Trance, you know, you can't really count as a long cooldown ultimate spell.
But we spoke about how to kill Shadow Fiend, they're going to need to throw everything at him. Well, the Chronosphere is cooling down now. Sure, with those BKBs between Troll and Void, maybe they like permabash him. My concern right here is the Lina and the AA, and well, yeah, Lina, AA and Vengeful Spirit, the ones without BKBs. They die to, you know, Spectre Haunts the Radiance plus like a Sand King stun, or a Sand King ulti, or 1 raise, or 2 raises, or a cask, or... Spectre's about to get his Radiance, despite the bad start he had, and there's a lot of squishy heroes on Newbee's side.
So basically, any combination of magical damage or disables thrown onto, one or two of those heroes, they don't stand a chance. Hook shot in onto the Lina, and she's probably just gonna die straight up.
I mean, look at Sansheng. He has a 701 HP. He's got a gem, and 701 HP. He's like, does he die to like 2 raises, or just more than 2 raises?
So it's a bit more than that.
Yeah.
650 minus the 25%. He dies to 3 raises.
Okay.
Swap they found Xiaohei. Okay, with the gem, they're taking them pretty easily.
Yeah. Xiaohei was trying to be a bit too sneaky, hiding very deep to get that very dramatic epicenter off from behind. But he got spotted out as he was positioning. So that plan not working for him. So I wonder, LGD might have to drop both these towers, not wanting to fight without their Sand King. I don't think the Sand King can buy back, can he? No, he can't. They could still fight, just focus their supports with the Haunts. But I think the fact that they're missing a hero and the fact that there's an Aegis and 2 BKBs is just scaring them a little bit at this point.
Sylar taking this Radiance to work, killing ogres with it. Nothing really else he can do. Like you're saying, defending the top tier 2 is not quite possible without Xiaohei, but now he's alive and ready. TP on cooldown for another 4 seconds, so he can't make his way there any quicker. He's just going to have to try and run. And, they've got no glyph. The tower's dead. Hookshot in, though, from Yao, the catch Rabbit. In comes the Horn as well. Rabbit just evaporates under the damage. June with the Chrono down to maybe. They've caught him. They've got him, but the Ice Blast misses. The Death Water goes down into the Chrono. Doesn't do anything inside there. June gets swapped back. But this is just looking like it's it for a Newbee. Rabbit tries to fight up against Maybe and realizes, hang on, no, this isn't a 1 versus 1. This isn't fair. This is 3 versus 1 and I'm dead.
And that's through an Aegis, a 2-for-2 including the Aegis. And I just went, I had to look at the AA in that fight. He only got damaged by Spectre's Haunt, and he went to about 250 HP, TP'd base.
Wow.
He was like, I'm out of here. And what is that bracer? Did they steal that bracer from someone?
No, that's Rabbit's bracer.
Oh.
And the AA is still carrying the gem around with him.
Yeah, well, impressive that he managed to not die, but I mean, in order to not die, what Sansheng had to do was pretty much just TP base as soon as the fight started. Which is not that bad for an AA, I suppose. He can still ulti from far away. But Xiaohei picking up the gem for his side as well, right now. And that's gonna help them a lot, because there's been Vision doing a lot of work for Newbee this game, behind enemy lines. But yeah, I don't know, that's a fight with an Aegis, and they still couldn't win that fight.
Well, again, it was very disjointed from Newbee. June went in on the Shadow Fiend, got the Chrono down. Ice Blast didn't hit the SF. I don't know if it was just cut short because of Sansheng wanting or needing to TP out and try and escape from the Spectral Haunt. Rabbit couldn't close the gap because he's got no Blink Dagger, he's got no real mobility, just has to try and run in there. So June jumped on Maybe, couldn't do him, sort of tickling him inside the Chrono. Moo, what was he doing that fight? Just running around, throwing spells out?
I'm not too sure, because I saw him at the back end. He came back in at the end of the fight, so I'm not sure at what point he ran out, but possibly, like we said, just struggling to handle the damage from the Haunts. He's got his Aghanims now, so a lot more tanky. MMY is probably dead.
Ooh, they go for the Chrono and Sylar as well in the back, but Laguna Blade's being popped. I guess they don't need it. Yao now throws his life away. That could have been, Spectre and Witch Doctor dying, and that's it. Yao, that was unnecessary.
I almost thought, I'm expecting Shadow Fiend and Sand King to blink in and the Spectre to buy back and Haunts when I see that hook. But Spectre doesn't have buyback, and Shadow Fiend's not there, and I don't think Sand King just wants to go in on his own. So yeah, it's a weird play by Yao. But hey, he did hit the hook.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, he's been hitting most of his hooks this game.
He's done very well. Sansheng on the AA has just bought something. Go Scepter. Go Scepter for Sansheng. Which is kind of interesting because the majority of damage from LGD is actually magical. Pure and magical from the Spectre, magical from the Shadow Fiend. Sure. Spectre and SF, they still right click. But I don't know. Aghanims would have been nice. The point booster, I feel, would have got a lot more value.
So this is a pretty random question, but if Spectre haunts and his image is like auto attacking you and you go Scepter, does it keep following you?
Yes.
'Cause
It should do.
Because I mean, if you're like auto attacking and someone's ghost scepted, that doesn't normally follow them. I think.
That's
So
a,
I'm not.
that's a good
I mean,
question.
it's a.
Like if you think about like Ricky or someone, if you haunt and the illusion is following, it still follows Ricky, right? If he's
Yeah,
invis.
it does.
It follows
Yeah, it
invis
does.
heroes. So even if it can't issue an attack command, it should still follow. But I'm not sure. That sounds like there could be funky stuff going on. Rabbit, Death Ward after bow strike. They do have the hook shot coming in from Yao, so they manage to catch him out. The Cog's not pushing him back as Rabbit pops the BKB, turns to fight up against the Clockwork. Gets the right clicks in there as in the back end. Maybe is now caught in the chrono, and Newbee looking good. June BKBs himself as Xiao went in there for the kill on the Rabbit, and they'll find the kill on the Troll. With the help of Spectre,
Yeah.
Solid now though bailing on this. Getting as far away as he possibly can.
Yeah, well, that was exactly what they need to do, Newbie. The Chrono and the Laguna Blade on Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend did nothing that fight. Not a single right click, not a BKB, not a blink, not a Requiem, not a single raise, nothing. Just got caught out in no man's land, not in a position he wanted to be. And that's the gem gone for LGD, so could mean a whole lot more map control for Newbie. So yeah, we said this game was following the trajectory of last game.
Nope.
Well, this game, if last game did well to demonstrate the comeback mechanic, this game is doing even better to do that. If you look at the net worth, the gold graph, it's went Newbie's favor, came back to LGD, and now it's back to Newbie. Pretty much same amount each time.
And this is something that we rarely see. Usually it's one team getting a lead, getting advantage across the map, and getting themselves up to 5, 7.5, 10,000 net worth lead, and then the other team winning 2 team fights and bringing it all the way back down. This has been back and forth. Newbie winning, LGD bringing it back, now Newbie bringing it back again. I don't know. Are they Backstreet Boys?
Backstreet's back.
Newbie's
guess,
back. You're right.
But I don't know. June gets a lot of credit in my eyes, because I've been saying all along, that's like, how do they start a fight? It's just Chronosphere, and he's been getting those Chronos right every single time. I think there's been some clowny stuff from LGD, like Xiao at that top lane when he tried to have this like really next level positioning to ulti, ended up dying and his team couldn't fight because he was dead. But yeah, for Newbie's parts, June is getting good chronos every single fight, and that's so vital. I still can't see them winning fights, even though they're now a bit ahead, if he doesn't get a good chrono.
Well, MMY is nearly up there with the Aghanim Scepter. Well, Banana is hiding around with a Ghost Scepter of his own. So both supports over on the Dire pick themselves up Ghost Scepters. Moo with Aghanim's Force Staff and the Yule Scepter. No blink for him, which is kind of understandable when you're against Death Ward, Haunt. There's no, well, there's plenty of ways to cancel out your blink and really make your life a misery. Smoke up here into the Dire side of the map, as it looks like Newbee want to smoke up themselves. Xiao 8, there's the blink stun into Banana. Ice Blast is launched and will not hit anybody at all. That's kind of a panic blast. Banana caught in the cogs, the hook shot in. June cannot find a target though to try and chrono. There's no one to go on. Yao is already dead. The Clockwork isn't really a target you want to go on. June, maybe now he sees maybe. We'll go for the chrono here. Yeah, catch out the Shadow Fiend. He's the biggest target. Xiao 8 tries to return in with the epicenter, but there's just not enough damage. June is going 1 versus 2 here up against Solar and maybe will get taken out by the Dying Requiem, but this is going to be a 5-man wipe, and Newbee winning fights.
Yep, and that's, it was hard for June to find that chrono there, and I think he kept calm, waited for the opportunity. He used his entire BKB duration, still hadn't chronoed someone, and then he spotted Shadow Fiend and he's like, aha, I'm gonna go for you. And even though the Sand King was able to use his epicenter blink Fire Strike combo to try and zone out the other people, it didn't matter. I mean, it kept the Shadow Fiend alive a little bit. He survived the Chronosphere, he got his ulti off, but he still went down. They all still went down. And Newbee really impressing me in this game, because last game I felt like when they got that lead, they struggled to stay composed, and this game they did the same thing, but this game, once they were behind, they actually managed to mount a comeback, which shows even greater sort of strength of mind and mental ability to see what you need to do to come back into the game and do those things and keep according to your plan. So this point we start to ask questions of LGD, because they're supposed to have a better lineup for team fights, but they've not been able to win one in a while.
It just seemed like a really awkward smoke that they pulled off just there, where they're going towards the tier 2 with no creep wave. They've got no real objective to take, and Newbee just standing around. Maybe they thought they could pick off someone at the Ancients or something like that. But
yeah, and then they initiate on a Vengeful Spirit,
yeah.
Which, you know what, maybe if the Venge was alone there, it's fine. Like, we didn't want to smoke for Venge, but we'll get a consolation kill. But they smoked into the enemy team, grouping up to smoke into them, and then go on the sort of worst person they could possibly go on. Yeah, it is the worst. That's Vengeful Spirit is the worst person for them to initiate on.
Cause they can swap the troll in, get the void into a better position. Banana does have quite a bit of mobility with that swap.
Yeah, plus he just doesn't do as much. I mean, the AA has got his ulti at least, and the rest are cores. The Vengeful Spirit's contribution to the fight is casting each of his spells once most of the time. And when you kill him, he curses you with less damage. So it's just like, there's so many reasons why you don't want to go on the Vengeful Spirit first. The only benefit actually in killing him first is that, well, then he can't swap someone else out afterwards. But that relies on you going on him first in a position where you're going to still be ahead in the fight and going to be able to go on other people.
Tier 2 here for Newbee. A Rabbit with that freshly made Skadi, going to try and make short work of this one. But LGD they're in no position to defend. Sylar is heading over to mid lane, trying to build himself up a Manta style. Maybe has the Butterfly done. There's no MKB yet, is there, from anyone on Newbee? But 39 minutes in, Newbee want to take high ground. Defending here for LGD, sure, they've got level 3 epicenter, they've got all the blinks and initiation in the world. But if they can't find that perfect start to the fight, like right there, Xiao, that's ballsy. If he gets swapped, stunned, anything, he's dead.
Yeah, and I think Newbee just unwilling to commit spells to him because they don't seem as enough of a priority, especially if he's just used his blink and stun and can't use epicenter. Meantime, in the enemy jungle, MMY is finishing that Aghanims, and you know what, the way this game is gone, I wonder if MMY is regretting not picking up that Midas earlier on. I think he's had a lot of room actually. He hasn't died a whole lot. He had already 2 or 3 deaths early on, so he's got 1 or 2 more since then. And certainly his Aghanims is going to be a big deal, but he could have had it probably sooner if he did get that Midas. But yeah, that Aghanims might be the thing that changes this fight around. Don't underestimate the damage outputs of Witch Doctor Aghanims. It's massive. It's like an extra core hero.
Come on, MMY, let's show us what you've got. Show us what you've got, especially if, you know, he doesn't get caught in Chrono or anything like that. Moo and Banana. Basically, the entirety of Newbee is going to be focusing, like we've said before, all of their disables onto Maybe and Sylar. So Witch Doctor can stand in the back and have a free, full duration channeled ultimate.
Yeah, it basically has to be Vengeful Spirit's job at this point, I think, to try and find the Witch Doctor. But that's not what he wants his job to be. He wants his job to be covering people, swapping people out, or maybe even aggressively swapping. But Vengeful Spirit is not the kind of hero that like dips into the back of your lineup to stop someone channeling a spell. The best he can do is swap for that. Maybe if he's close enough, he sees Witch Doctor channeling and swaps him.
Oh, Newbee smoking up 4 here. Rabbit is still over in the Radiant jungle. Maybe they try and bait out the troll, send him towards mid lane to push out a little. Rocket Flare will scout him out as the rest of Newbee now need to get into position. The ping out. I'm pretty sure LGD will be aware that this is some kind of bait. They just don't know what kind of bait because Moo is moving down from the south. Right now,
I think you have to remember, Spectre and Shadow Fiend both have buyback. So if Newbee go too deep and the fight's right at LGD's base, they could lose the fight just on the back of those buybacks.
Epicenter being channeled. Where's he going to jump in? Onto Rabbit. Moo gets caught as well. Yule's up onto Xiao with the Chrono pop down onto maybe a lone Death Ward. Here we go. Bouncing between everybody. The Cogs trapping them in as well. The Death Ward gets cancelled out as he falls and dies. Sylar Still surviving through everything as Maybe has brought himself back and returns to the fight. Xiao 8, bow strike in 4 seconds time, but Mu, light strike array and TP out. Oh dear. Oh dear. June is the last one.
There was just one buyback, right? Just the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah.
And I think really good value on that. Troll had an Aegis, so they killed Troll twice, they killed Lina, they killed Venge. They lost 3, had to use 1 buyback, and the Witch Doctor ulti did a lot of work there. Sure, it got cancelled after a few seconds, but it did a substantial amount of damage to multiple heroes at the start of that fight. And actually the Chronosphere almost like zoning the enemies away from him so that only the Void could get onto him.
Yeah, then you had Yao's hookshot into Cogs, trapping a couple of heroes in there. Sylar surviving is always going to be a good thing. He's now up to, he's closing in on 5k gold. I said he would be going for the Manta style with that ultimate orb. Skadi is always an option. Gives you a nice all-round stat boost, but you're pretty sure it's going to be Manta style. Maybe he skips past it and goes for like a heart now.
I think if you look at the net worths of each hero, this whole game we've had Maybe in front, and then we've got some Dire Cores, and then we've got Sylar. But if Sylar gets to the point where he catches up on net worth to the Troll and the Lina and the Void, this game's going to become very difficult for Newbee again, I think. I think if a Spectre gets to that kind of form, while he's still sort of one item behind each of them, I still say Newbee's a bit ahead. But that gap is closing.
This is the weird thing again. Newbee are like putting comeback mechanics aside. Right now, the way that drafting works and trying to actually end the game works, a lot of the time you're dealing with multiple heroes that are very good at defending high ground, defending towers, and it can be ridiculously difficult to get up there and take tier 3s. Newbee are 10,000 net worth ahead. They've got the item advantage, they've got level advantage. They should be the aggressors, but right now it's almost impossible for them.
Yeah, LGD's team fight is really strong. There's a buyback on Sylar. He's gonna buyback.
Well, he gets zapped immediately. June now looking for that chrono. Who's his target though? They're just bailing out, trying to escape from this haunt. They don't want Sylar to find an easy target. Well, Banana will be that easy target, but the rest of them on the route out.
Yeah, Sylar a bit nervous, I think, because he just bought back. He didn't want to haunt. He didn't want to reality in deeper into the fight because if he were to die again, his team might suddenly lose the game. I feel like maybe if he did go a little bit deeper, they get a few more kills. Especially now that the Spectre can reality multiple times, he could go a bit deeper, cast a dagger, and then pull out. But I'm not sure. Just nervous that he's gonna get targeted by, I don't know, Chronosphere or something of the like, and definitely doesn't want to die back in that position.
Well, they force yet another buyback, so they know that Shadowfiend and Spectre are both without right now. Once Vengeful Spirit respawns, going for that tier 2 bot, maybe if you, tier 2 mid, but maybe even if you go for the tier 3 bot, it's on half HP, push the lane out, you could go for racks. And I feel in this situation, it's a lot easier to actually go and push into tier 3 than it is to push into the tier 2 mid, the way that LGD are defending.
I'm not too sure. I think the high ground makes it a lot easier for Sand King and Witch Doctor to get good ultis off. So it's tricky. I think that if Newbee get carried away with the lead that they have and just try to force the high ground, the positional advantage is really, really big for LGD, and one very bad fight could cost them a lot. Well, I suppose one very bad fight at this point could cost anyone a lot, because a bad fight for LGD without those buybacks means they'll probably lose the game. But a bad fight for Newbee could mean that Spectre catches up, gets through that gap in the net worth, and suddenly LGD is on par, if not ahead.
Things start getting messy. Shadowfiend, what have you brought up now? Daedalus on the way. No lifesteal just yet, but we did see the Manta picked up by Sylar. He's got another 1700 gold in the bank. At this point, I don't know, you've just got to start spending your money. Items that keep you alive and make sure that you don't die and are stuck in this situation with death and no buyback available. Definitely what you want to be going for.
Lina has just picked up a Hex, which is often a decisive item in this kind of late game scenario. And I see that Xiao 8's got an ultimate orb and not too far from a Hex of his own actually. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that situation, especially once Xiao 8's got his Hex and Sand King. each team has a Hex, it could dictate the way the fights break out. It could really limit one of the core's ability to interact with the fight at a crucial time. And maybe with the Daedalus, so his damage output is insane at the moment. He's just struggling to stay alive at some of these crucial fights.
That's kind of interesting. With buyback coming off cooldown in a minute and a half, I really expected maybe just to stick with the Crystallis and save up for Daedalus later.
Well, I think they're expecting the GG push to come now, and they want to emphatically win this fight.
Okay. And with Sylar not having buyback, maybe that's what's sort of tying it all together. Newbee do go for the tier 3 bot, but after taking the tier 2 mid. Hookshot in, Rabbit caught out now. He's got Aegis Immortal, so it's not really as though you can kill him and take him out. He's also got Satanic finished. Newbee now taking the lane of ranks at bot. Observer Ward gets placed to buyback and cancel TP.
Yeah, and Lena's used her Hex now. Spectre split pushing top, planning to haunt in.
Cheese on the floor. Who's it going to be for? Nobody? Are they really going to do this? Rabbit gets Blink epicentered. The BKB pop by June. He's going into the back, but there's no chrono. Nothing to find there. Who has the cheese now? I really want to know, but I don't want to open any of the windows. Blink forward. Xiao just spamming out these burrow strikes. Okay, Banana has the cheese.
Well,
just
one is down. Epicenter is down.
And Xiao just keeps going back in with his multi-man burrow strikes. MMY, Death Ward down. Bouncing between all of them. Mu and Sansheng. Both dropping super low. And in fact, both of them will die. So even with the cheese over there, they can't get it off June. The chrono maybe walks back into it. Shadow Fiend caught, but June has Maledict on him. The damage output from LGD will be enough to take him out as Rabbit man fights up against the Shadow Fiend. But can't really keep it going long enough.
Oh, he's got Aegis. Rabbit's gonna respawn in the backside, and I think he might be able to... Nah, he's just gonna run.
Just run.
I was gonna say, he might be able to fight them because the Sand King didn't have a stun. But not wanting to take that risk.
Just keep on running.
So yeah, LGD do hold, but they won't be happy that Shadow Fiend died at the end there. If the Shadow Fiend lives at the end there, they'll kill Troll again, and then we'll say it's a really good defense from LGD. They lost their Raxes before the fight even started, but if they had team wiped the whole enemy team and both their cores had survived, that would have been massive for them. I feel like it was pretty close in the end. I feel like it looked to me like the Troll could have died before the SF. In fact, if the Witch Doctor and Sand King had stayed with the Shadow Fiend, he maybe does kill the Troll before he dies. They're sort of like headed off for the Vengeful Spirits. And they're probably regretting that at this point in time. Not just finishing off the Troll. Because Troll's a hero that, out of nowhere, can just like get 1 or 2 bashes, lifesteal a whole lot, and when you thought that the person that was 1v1ing him was owning him, suddenly it's like super close, and that's what happened there.
All of a sudden, Shadow Fiend dies. But LGD are by no means down and out. You know, they lose 1 lane of ranks, but it's kind of the situation where Newbee need that lane of ranks down to have a chance of winning the game. Whereas LGD, they just need to keep on going. It will be a bit of a hit to their morale, obviously losing ranks there, but they're not losing that badly.
And with the Hex on that Sand King now, gives LGD another entry point into a good fight. And it seems like LGD at this point deliberately trying to not expose their Shadow Fiend too early in the fight, because they know that the Chronosphere is just going to go straight onto him then. So Sand King and Clockwork and Spectre, in which all 4 heroes actually like using their own shenanigans before the Shadow Fiend exposes himself. And Chronosphere is very late in that fight as a result. In fact, the Void didn't get much done with it. The Void died, the SF didn't die. The SF only died afterwards when he decided to fight the Troll.
I actually wonder, with that Chrono going down there, and maybe actually running back into it, if the SF hadn't run into the Chrono, that fight could have been a lot different. LGD could have just wiped the floor with Newbee.
Yeah, but even after the Chrono, they could have done that. I mean, they came so close to doing that. SF's teammates sort of deserted him for a few seconds, and in that time, Troll made it a 1-for-1 instead of a SF making the kill and probably the second kill.
Hookshot in onto June, he's hexed up, can't BKB, and LGD gonna try and stomp through this fight. Yao gets taken down by Mu and June, and the Laguna Blade will say goodnight to Sylar as he buys back and haunts in. But can they find someone? June pops the pop of the Death Ward, the bouncing back onto Mu. The Chrono does take out maybe, But this fight, I don't know where it's going. Multiple buybacks now. Void and Lena both going back in. Sylar has brought back and might die. Rabbit tries to look for the bashes. As the epicenter comes in, Rabbit slowed down and Sansheng dropping low. Who's gonna die first? There's just heroes dropping to like 100 HP on both sides. Sylar's now healed up with Urn and Voodoo Restoration. He's no longer on the verge of death. Zhao 8 falls in the back. Rabbit Man fights up. MMY's Ghost Scepter saves him. But the lightning proc from the Mjolnir will finally finish him off.
There's no buybacks. Does Newbee just go get the game now? There's only a Clockwork gonna respawn soon. And that is that advantage of the buybacks. At that point in time, Newbee had buyback on pretty much everyone, and LGD didn't. So Witch Doctor can buy out and try and defend with just himself and Clockwork. Maybe he'll have ulti soon, but don't really see it happening. I think this is probably the game.
That's kind of it, isn't it? With one fight, LG looking good, but no buybacks. Very back and forth, where multiple heroes were swinging in and out. Sylar did a great job to heal himself back up, but in the end,
Shadow Fiend's gonna be up soon, but I think they're gonna have Megas before he's up, and Megas will surely decide this game.
all lanes of ranks are down now for LGD. As Newbee look to just close this one out, Jawet calls the GG. So Newbee do manage to get themselves a win up against LGD. 1-1 draw in the end. Just quite an achievement for them. MMY goes for the final death ward.
Yeah, in terms of Dota 2 Champions League, it's a little too late for Newbee, but in terms of Newbee as a team and their form, this will be a big confidence boost for them, because their form's been really poor of late, and to beat one of the big teams is significant. They're going to be up against IG next, I think, and maybe that confidence will give them a chance to actually give IG a run for their money too.
Yep, that's it for this series, guys. We'll be back in a short while with our second run of the day. Newbee versus IG. If this confidence boost has been enough, maybe they can, take another one. Take another draw up against IG. Let's see. Stay tuned.